Tamashii is a non-profit project. Any and all profits are going to be going to Ehime Prefecture and select children's homes in Saitama and Tokyo Prefecture. Over the last 2 years, I flew to Japan twice to collect as much information on some of the most popular filming locations used in tokusatsu, asking myself and other Western fans why these special effects shows mean so much to us, and what some of us go through to share it with others around us. This is our Tamashii. I am in Kaigan, Minato City, Tokyo, seeking a location from 2009's Samurai Sentai Shinkenju. Specifically, the cold opening from the first episode, the scene that dragged me into tokusatsu's Henshin hero shows. It is day one of filming for my first film project. To say it wasn't ready was an understatement on so many levels. But I wanted to take an ambitious first step into filmmaking. I found Town Warehouse sandwiched between the Tokyo monorail and the Rainbow Bridge. It's like I had been there before. I ended the live stream to prepare to film for the documentary. The sun was setting, my camera had 2% battery left, and I had less than a gigabyte of space left for new recordings. It was a bust. While it wasn't my last mistake out there, it was the first that I learned from. I had to be beyond prepared to bring all of you with me. The right way. The first location I visited with the proper precautions was the Saitama Super Arena. It has a ton of locations from Henshin hero shows, and can frequently be seen in the Heisei Kamen Rider series and the Super Sentai series, which got me thinking about what shows were filmed here, like Kamen Rider Kuga and Kamen Rider Ryuki. And then there was also V1's appearance in Kamen Rider Akito. That was cool. Then my favorite Kamen Rider Decade had his first transformation there. The Akiba Rangers were there too. God, those guys are funny. Oh, and then Deca Break had that crazy punch on that mirror dude. Oh, and then the Superhero Tyson movies were filmed here. There's so many different things that were shot just here specifically. The Saitama Super Arena is packed with locations from tokusatsu. Not to be confused with the Saitama Stadium 2002 or Ajinomoto Stadium, which both have their own fair share of spots from Toku. The Saitama Super Arena is an indoor arena located in Chuoku, Saitama Prefecture. It opened in 2000 and can hold a spectator capacity of 37,000. It is the fourth largest indoor arena in the world. It can accommodate most sports: wrestling, boxing, ice hockey, gymnastics, basketball, volleyball, and tennis. It's also the only Japanese stadium that is equipped to house American football. With its moving seats, some events can allow fans to sit right next to the action. The Saitama Super Arena also features exhibition areas. From 2000 to 2010, it featured the John Lennon Museum. Today, that same place is a Gold's Gym. The area around the arena is often crowded, but I believe it is because of its closeness to the nearby Saitama Shintosen Station and being just south of the often traveled Omiya Station, as well as the stadium's secondary purpose as an event space. The nearby Keiaki Hiroba Pavilion is used for public events, like festivals. Its perimeter is lined with small shops and offices on the first and third floors, while the center is a grid of trees perfectly spaced. I had the opportunity to ask the building's architect, Dan Mice, if he could share anything about the building. Dan said he created the design for a competition. He was up against famous architects like Renzo Piano, Richard Rogers, Oma, Jean Nouvel, and many more. His focus concepts were speed and transformation, with the desire to invoke a feeling of constant motion. He referenced transforming robots, hypercars, and Japan's many Shinkansen. Dan had the pleasure of visiting his building and seeing it transform in front of him. When recalling his experience, he said, "It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be involved in such an innovative building. No other building in the world transforms in this way. I'm very proud of it. I love Japan, so it was an honor to design a building there." After hearing the area was used for superhero shows, he asked if he could see some clips. When I visited in 2018, it was holding an event for students who were interested in meeting college representatives, making it difficult to enter the stadium floor. Security was willing to escort me inside to film, but to respect the privacy of the students, I declined. When I returned in 2019, the Houston Rockets and Toronto Raptors played 2 preseason games at the arena, making it impossible to go inside unless you were an attendee. I was bummed out. While that was a letdown, it was something that was out of my control, and that's okay. I still got to geek out and embarrass myself in a few places out there. After completing my tour of the arena and surrounding areas, I headed back to my base town, Setagaya. As I traveled by train, I'd write down anything I learned that day, and question my excitement. Why was visiting a building I saw in a show making me that happy? To me and many others, tokusatsu programs aren't just shows, they're something much more special. I think a similar sentiment could be said of the arena. From the architect to the athletes and simple event attendees, to them, the Saitama Super Arena is something much more special than just a building. Whenever I was on the way home from shooting each day, I would write down questions I wanted to ask my fellow tokusatsu fans, to help them share their feelings and their opinions on how they feel about tokusatsu and the community as a whole. Let's start off with the basics. What got you into tokusatsu?
I'm pretty sure the first anything tokusatsu that I saw was Shinjuku, because I was trying to check out what Power Ranger Samurai came from, and then the first thing I actually actively sat down to watch all the way through was Gokaiger. Eventually that led me to Rider, which I started watching double. It wasn't the current show at the time, but I just was watching double. But then I started watching Gaim as it aired live, and I've been watching all the stuff ever since then. So yeah, it came from Power Rangers, but obviously, talking about tokusatsu strictly here, it was Shinkenger and Gokaiger that really started me down my path of learning exactly what tokusatsu was.
Gokaiger. When I first saw, what was it? The Super Sentai 199 battle, I saw clips of that as Gokaiger was airing, because they were trying to promote that movie over and over again. I was like, maybe I should check this out, and just fell in love with it.
2008, 2009, where I wanted to go down memory lane, look at Power Rangers on Wikipedia, and oh, by the way, Power Rangers came from Super Sentai. Like, what Super Sentai? And then I just sort of went down the rabbit hole from there.
The first tokusatsu anything I saw came in the form of 2 video games. The Ultraman video game for the Super Nintendo. I didn't own that game. I didn't even rent it. It was like at a friend's house. Not even my friend, like daughter of a mother's friend. I just played that game for like 30 minutes or 1 hour, and I couldn't get past the first level. And the Kamen Rider V3 video game, which is why I'm here in the first place. That game was so good, hooked me so well to tokusatsu that I ended up becoming a huge Kamen Rider fan. And the same for tokusatsu.
Yeah. Actually, started as a kid. Found Ultraman VHSs in my attic, and from there, it went on, and it was pretty cool. So to know that I jumped back into it when Decade started airing, it was fun to rediscover,
Something that I came across by chance. A friend that I made in my sophomore year, she sat me down and had me watch this episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder called Lost and Found in Translation. We watch it. I'm intrigued by the concept, the conceit of it. And I went online. I went onto YouTube to try and find this episode. I found a fan sub cut into the episode. And while it wasn't the best translation, it was the full episode. I got to see that whole episode in full, cut into that Dino Thunder episode. Once I found it, I started going down into the rabbit hole, and I found that fan sub, and I watched it through. That day I was born a fan of Super Sentai, and in a more grand sense, tokusatsu.
Admittedly, I am not as well versed when it comes to kaiju in the world of Eiji Tsuburaya, but I was told to visit Ultraman Shotengai by some friends living in Setagaya. They said it was a land where giants once stood. Ultraman Shotengai, or Ultraman Shopping Street, is located in Soshigaya, Setagaya, Tokyo. The statue sits just north of the Soshigaya Okura station. While not in any TV shows I'm aware of, this one location features 2 things: massive amounts of love for Ultraman and massive amounts of people. The area is loaded with shops, restaurants, and bars, many featuring Ultraman merch in their windows, some with names and themes from the Ultraman series. Nihon University's College of Commerce is located nearby as well, which may contribute to some of the congestion in the area. As you head north up the street, you are met with lampposts in the shape of Ultraman, Ultra 7, Taro, and on the southern side of the Setagaya Okura station, you can find lampposts shaped like alien Bolton. This street was named after Ultraman because it once was the home of Subaraya Productions, who moved away from their old offices in 2008. Currently, their offices are in Shibuya. Either side of the northern street features two statues of Ultraman, one flying above welcoming you as you head south to the station, the other just outside of the station, standing proudly on a pedestal, featuring a plaque with Ultraman's theme engraved on it. As you head back into the station, support pillars are surrounded with images of the Ultras. At the time, I had an appreciation for Ultraman, but not the same level as some of the other tokusatsu shows I've seen. After meeting the people who own businesses on the Ultraman Shotengai, and learning more about how fans from all over the world would come walking down the same road to say hello to Subaraya's staff, I began to feel the warmth of the light that still shines on that street in Sagata City. Out of all these tokusatsu franchises, which one do you think resonates with you the most?
I personally feel a connection to Kamen Rider, just because that's what I started watching for tokusatsu, and I just love it. The characters, the suit work, the music, all of it's really good, and I continue to watch tokusatsu to this day, and mostly Kamen Rider, Ultraman too, but Kamen Rider is my thing.
Kamen Rider. Definitely Kamen Rider. How can I even begin to explain the reasons? I just love... There's so many things that I love about it, but I'll try to keep the list short. I love the lone hero aspect that it has, even when you have series with 13 plus writers or something like that. I love the... What is a sentient life form? What is humanity? What does it mean to have other life forms other than humanity be sentient on this world? It does that so well and so much throughout its history. And I love just the looks. The designs are always so gorgeous in Kamen Rider and so unique. And I love when the designs get weird. Like, the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a Kamen Rider design is like, that's weird. It's cool, but it's weird. Both of those things at the same time, right? If that makes any sense. And I love that. I love that they made the weird cool. And also, I love that they make evil good. That they redefine what you are supposed to be. The Grasshopper cyborg Takeshi Hongo. I am not your murder weapon. I am the hero of justice that is going to oppose you and save the world with the power that you evil thing, bestowed upon me. And so on. I can give the same example throughout most of the main Kamen Riders, with every protagonist and stuff like that. They do it in such a fantastic manner. And so with such a wonderful presentation and colorful characters and suits in every sense of the word. And it's just awesome, not just to look at it, but to feel the themes, to feel the story and all that. Again, I could go on.
Where I started with Sentai and really appreciated the team building and their dynamic in that way. Rider has the idea of having to focus on the self, seeing the issues from different perspectives, and it has a little more gravitas, not a lot, just a little more overall. That's not to say that Super Sentai never goes over into the deep end too. It's just that they tend to play on the kiddie, the more youthful side of things.
It would have to be Rider. Rider is just the one that I've always been drawn to the most of the three. I don't even particularly know why it's Rider over Sentai or Ultraman. Of course, I love Sentai, but then again, I think Sentai, I'm always trying to either base it off of Power Rangers or think what Power Rangers can do with it. So Rider's kind of the one that I look at the most and have always been the most fond of because of just what it does on its own merit. I love everything about it, really. I think Rider, what I like the most about it that resonates with me is that it's not as formulaic as a Sentai is. I feel like Rider overall is more formulaic, like following a pattern of when forms and stuff happen in the show, but it's not always fight monster, lose, fight them again, win, monster grows big, fight them in a robot. I mean, not that they don't take cues from that kind of Sentai-like structure, but I definitely think that Rider is just more unpredictable, I suppose, in terms of what they do with their plot than Sentai. And I think that just is what really keeps me hooked the most in Rider of the three.
I mean, I know I am wearing a Kamen Rider shirt, but that's such a hard question because I don't know if I align myself with one more than the other. I feel like I try to embody all the messages from all of the shows. You know, Rider is kind of this singular hero trying to save people. Sentai is this team of people. And Ultraman is usually just one giant guy with a team of people, but I like the overall different messages that each of the big three have. So I feel like it's hard for me to decide which one. Yeah, and I think that's what makes all three of them unique to me.
If you bashed me over the head, abducted me, and dropped me in Shinjuku Station, whenever I'd wake up, I would assume I died and went to hell. A mall and a train station featuring 88 platforms across 5 public transport companies, 3 to 4 million travelers per day, 200 exits, and none of them are the one that you need. It's usually packed dense with people coming and going, some locals navigating the structures as well as I was. Good to know it wasn't just a tourist like me having trouble in there. After walking for miles only to find that day's location long since demolished, as I passed through the labyrinthian halls of Shinjuku Station, I found a display for my favorite superheroes, the Kamen Riders. At the time, Kamen Rider was celebrating 20 years of Heisei Kamen Rider, and displaying deluxe henshin belts, as well as collector-focused complete selection modification belts. What was impressive was the line to see the CSM belts and the DX belts. Station security keeping the line short and tight. But the moment they opened it back up, it would be full with 50 to 70 people. The display featured a video promoting Kamen Rider Zero, the 20th Heisei Rider, as well as Bandai commercials explaining the CSM line. On the floor, in front of the DX belts, were decals of the Kamen Rider's footprints, so you can line up your foot with your favorite rider. It was fascinating to see that many people coming up to see one of my favorite things. And also to see some of their reactions to a foreigner just as excited to see the same things that they were. I ended up making a couple friends that day. I hope they're doing well. Why do you think you love tokusatsu so much?
It just brings me back. It just makes me feel like I am a kid again, watching Power Rangers, watching just superheroes and learning things about the world with such positive messages. It just makes me feel nostalgic, and I really like it.
Would you say that some of these shows have taught you lessons that you didn't get as a kid with the adaptations?
Yeah, absolutely. No disrespect to Power Rangers, because they really did try to get those lessons across, but maybe it was just something as a kid where it wasn't as easily digestible as it could have been, where I feel like maybe now as an adult, I can understand it just a little bit better.
There's a lot of things that have changed in my life and that have been able to happen because of tokusatsu. My best friends, the people that I love the most, are tokusatsu fans. They're people that I met on Twitter via watching these shows or having connections and that knew about these shows and things like that. And we discussed them and stuff in group chats and all that fun stuff. So I love that tokusatsu has been able to give that to me. I love that it sort of does a reset every year for all the shows and at different points of the year too. So always at some point in time, you have a pretty good chance of having at least one tokusatsu series that you hopefully enjoy. I mean, you might not be interested in all three of them, but I feel like it's rare to not be interested in all three of them, to not be at least interested in one of them, of the big three. And of course, since it's been a genre, a mainstay in tokusatsu or in Japanese media for so long, you have such a backlog, especially if you're on the younger side like me, where, I mean, Toku was going on for like 60, 70 years or so before I was even born. There's so much stuff I haven't seen. You have this huge backlog of stuff that I don't even know if I'll ever be able to get through to be able to watch. And so it's like, I always got something to watch. I always got something to talk about. There's always stuff happening. It's just it's a constant cycle of just exciting stuff going on. And that's really just what I love about it so much.
It's very unique. It's something that is not present anywhere else, you know? It's not present in any other type of media. You look at other superheroes from the West and you don't see what you see in tokusatsu. I love it because it's a very fun way to go about doing things, to go about telling a story, about selling toys, about selling merchandise, about doing beautiful action scenes, you know, and about creating new content, just creating new things for people to love. Tokusatsu just does it like nothing else in the world. For the most part, sometimes this balance is broken from one side to the other. But for the most part, I think it's the perfect balance of trying to produce new content to put money on the table, while also making sure that that new content is loved by people. And it does this in the most bombastic, loud, in a good way, loud manner you can think of. I don't know, I'm trying to do the mannerisms to get it across, right? Like, bomb.
I appreciate because it is inspiring to all ages. Plenty of riders, plenty of Sentai, and let's not forget Ultra folk. I'm going to use Ultras in general because it's not just Ultraman anymore. Runs all over the place. Not just Ultras, but also we have Garo, we have Metal Heroes, we have Bima. They're all shows that help people, not just kids, all ages of people, to develop themselves and learn how to become a paragon. They're inspired to act in the same way as these heroes.
Next time on Tamashii, we take a trip to the Windy City in Kawagoe, and things get a little bit more cosmic up in Gunma. Thank you so much for watching. I really, 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 really appreciate it. I am super excited to get this out finally. We are going to be putting out episodes every 3 to 6 weeks. So hang in there. Episode 2 is coming soon. And there's going to be a special edition coming out as well. There's going to be a lot more with that. We're talking like twice the amount of content. There should be a new website that comes out around the time episode 3 comes out. So hang in there. Keep tuned. And yeah, I'm fried, man. Editing's hard. Bye.